Welcome to the deep dive, listeners. Ready to dive deep. Today's going to be fascinating. We received this text, and wow, it's dense.
Intense, right?
It's in Spanish, so we've translated it, and it seems like it's like notes or a transcript, maybe from a speech. But the topic is huge. The purpose of life.
Yeah, no small talk here.
It's talking about this idea of personal mission, our unique purpose. It even calls it deseo del corazón, heart's desire, basically.
I like that. Heart's desire.
It even brings up, like, Jesus and Buddha, Mother Teresa.
Wow. Big hitters.
Yeah, and it's saying, like, we all have this purpose, maybe even before we're born, you know?
Fascinating, isn't it? This idea that it's already there within us, this potential.
Yeah, and the source, it doesn't say it's like fate exactly. More like we're all capable of like incredible things, but we have to discover what that is, what our own potential is.
Right, that discovery, that's the journey,
Yeah.
right?
And get this. The source claims only 25% of people actually find their purpose in their lifetime.
25%. Wow, that makes you think, huh,
It does. Are we in that 25%?
right. It's a good reality check. It makes you want to stop and say, wait, am I even on the right track?
Totally. And it makes you think about, like, what even is the right track?
Exactly, this idea of meaning,
Yeah.
Our place in the world, in the grand scheme of things, it's something this source really focuses on. And it makes sense, right? That desire to understand why we're here.
It's universal.
Exactly.
And speaking of universal, to kind of get that point across, the source uses these examples of, like, Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not about religion, though. More like it's talking about that universal human need for meaning, to connect to something, like, bigger than ourselves.
I see. Yeah. We all have that longing within us, don't we? To be a part of something bigger.
Totally. And it's interesting, right, that these figures, they tapped into that.
Absolutely. And the impact of their lives, it speaks volumes. This source is really highlighting that true fulfillment often comes from contributing to something beyond our own individual needs and desires. It reminds me of Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. He talks about how even in really, really difficult situations, like the concentration camps, those who could find meaning, a greater purpose, they were more resilient. They were more likely to survive. It's incredible.
It is so powerful.
It shows the importance of connecting to something beyond ourselves, right?
It's not just about these monumental figures, though, right? I mean, the source actually quotes Ralph Waldo Emerson,
Okay.
and he said that basically everyone is on a quest to find their mission in life. That's what makes life meaningful, this driving force.
I love that. It's
Mm.
true, isn't it? It resonates so deeply with the human experience.
Yeah. We all crave that feeling of purpose, knowing that our lives matter, that they have significance.
Absolutely. And it's something we see across cultures, throughout history. It's this common thread that connects us all.
So, okay, we've got this idea, this search for meaning, this purpose that's unique to us. But how do we actually find it?
Right, right. We need a map.
Mm.
And the source actually gives us one. Well, sort of. It lays out these principles, 7 of them. And they're all about becoming, and this is a direct quote, full of love.
Okay, full of love. That sounds kind of, I don't know, vague maybe at first.
It does, a little, but it gets very specific, very action-oriented,
Mm.
because the source is connecting this love to action, to service.
Yeah.
It's not some abstract feeling.
So it's like love in action almost.
Yeah, exactly. Like the first principle is about self-acceptance, accepting ourselves unconditionally.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And it makes sense, right? You can't truly love and serve others if you don't love yourself first.
Totally. Like recognizing your own worth, flaws and all that kind of thing.
Exactly. And from that place of self-love, that's when we can really start to take responsibility for our lives, which is, principle number 2.
Oh, okay. So no more blame game.
No blame. It's about owning our choices, the good and the bad.
Yeah, that's powerful. It's like taking control of your own life. It's got to be a crucial step for sure toward growth and, I don't know, like just taking ownership of your journey.
100%. And then the source, it talks about forgiveness, which I think goes hand in hand with that.
Oh, yeah, because if you're holding on to like anger and resentment, that's not really taking ownership, is it?
It's not. It's holding us back.
Yeah.
From love,
Yeah.
from growth, honestly, from everything. Forgiving ourselves, forgiving others, it's essential.
It's like clearing out the mental clutter to make space for the good stuff.
I love that. Yeah, mental clutter. So true. And speaking of what we hold on to, the next principle is all about our thoughts.
Oh, okay. Like positive thinking.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's actively choosing to focus on thoughts that are positive and growth-oriented. Because, I mean, think about it. What we focus on
So,
expands.
like, if you're constantly focusing on the negative, it's just gonna, like, snowball.
Exactly.
Mm.
But if you're choosing to focus on possibility, on optimism, that's going to grow too. And that kind of thinking, it informs how we set goals, which is
Mm.
principle number 5.
Okay, yeah. Goals.
But not just any goals. The source calls them noble goals. Goals that are aligned with something larger than ourselves, something that contributes.
So it's not just about, like, personal gain.
Right. It's asking, how can I use my skills, my talents, my passions to benefit
To
others?
make a difference. I like that.
And of course, we can't forget about self-care, right? Principle number 6.
Oh, right. Gotta have that on the list.
Absolutely. Taking care of our physical selves, eating well, sleeping enough, moving our bodies.
Our bodies are how we do all of this stuff.
There are instruments. We got to take care of them. And finally, number 7, this principle ties it all together. The golden rule.
Treat others how you want to be treated.
Yeah. Kindness,
Mm.
patience, understanding, especially towards those who are different from us.
It's like what the Dalai Lama always says, right? About compassion.
Yeah.
Recognizing that shared humanity.
Exactly. It's so powerful. And, you know, what's really fascinating is how the source brings all of these principles back to love.
Okay.
It argues that love isn't passive. It's the engine. It's the force behind fulfilling our mission. And that the more we give love, the stronger it becomes.
So we keep coming back to love, but it's not just like a feeling. It's about action, right?
Yeah, totally. This source really emphasizes that. It even talks about this like spiral of love.
The spiral of love, okay? What's that mean?
It's kind of cool, actually. It's this idea that the more love you give, the more you get back. Like it just keeps growing.
Oh, interesting. So kind of like that idea of, what goes around comes around, karma.
Yeah, there's definitely a connection there to like the law of attraction, too. We
Mhm.
put out into the world, you get back.
Right, right. And we're not saying it's like transactional, you shouldn't give love just to get it back. But it often works out that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You
Mhm.
put that positive energy out there, it has a ripple effect.
Totally. And speaking of positive energy, there's this part of the text, this little story about, I think they called her a beautiful grandmother. It really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. What a powerful story.
Right.
And a powerful message, right? It showed what a life lived with purpose, with love, what it can leave behind.
Yeah, exactly. She wasn't surrounded by like riches or anything when she passed. What was important to her was this plaque that hung in her house. It said, "A life alone soon passes. Only what is done with love will last."
Wow. That's amazing. It really makes you think about your own legacy, huh?
It does. It's about making a difference, It's about love, ultimately. And that kind of brings us to something else the source talks about, fear. It says that fear can be a huge obstacle. It holds us back from, like, really living our purpose.
That resonates, doesn't it? Fear can be so paralyzing.
Yeah. But what I thought was really interesting was how the source frames the solution. It says, love is the antidote to fear.
That's powerful.
Hmm.
It's not about being fearless, because I don't think anyone is completely fearless, right? It's about choosing love over fear.
Yeah. Love is
Mhm.
braver than fear, almost.
I like that.
Mhm.
Because it is brave, isn't it, to choose love? Because love requires vulnerability. It requires us to step outside our comfort zones.
Totally. So, okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. This source was like a deep dive into a deep dive.
Yeah.
Any final takeaways for our listener who sent this in, who hopefully is still listening?
Oh, I hope so. Well, first, I'd say don't overthink it. It's not about finding the perfect purpose. It's about identifying what brings you joy, what lights you up inside, what's your deseo do corazón, your heart's desire.
Find that passion, that thing that makes you feel alive.
Exactly. And then think about how you can use that to make a difference. How
Yeah.
can you use that passion to serve something bigger than yourself?
Love and action, right? And remember, love is not just this fluffy feeling, it's a force. It can fuel our courage, our resilience. It can help us overcome anything, even our deepest fears.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, listener, this is a journey. There will be bumps in the road. You might get lost along the way,
Mm.
but don't give up on that search for your purpose. It's worth it.
It's what gives life meaning. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. Thank you again to our listener for sharing this powerful text with us. It sparked some really important conversations.
It did. We just scratched the surface, really. There's so much more to explore here.
Isn't there always? But for now, we have to leave it here. So to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking those big questions, keep searching, and most importantly, keep diving deep. Until next time.